Welcome back to One Piece, ladies and gentlemen, the series where sometimes there are dragons and in other chapters there are 0 dragons. In this chapter, we get 2 dragons, so that's something. Also, it's the series where sometimes Nico Robin shows up and other times she does not show up. In this chapter, okay, well actually, in the cover page she does show up, so I'm counting it. 1 appearance from Nico Robin in this chapter. She shows up in the cover page using her Hana Hana no Mi to give a horse wings, because, you know, that was the horse's lifelong dream, to get wings and fly around, okay? Becoming a Pegasus. And the only other Pegasus we've seen in One Piece was Pierre, Gonfal's pet, not really pet, more of a partner in Sky Knighthood or whatever. But yeah, Pierre's Pegasus form was a little bit lackluster, so I'm glad, because Robin, you know, this is what One Piece is all about, fulfilling your dreams. That horse wanted to be a Pegasus and Robin helped it out. What are we talking about again? Right, chapter 1008, titled Ashura Doji, head of the Atamayama Mountain Bandits. That's a fun thing to say, Atamayama. Atamayama, it's head mountain. You know, we saw it earlier in Curry, the mountain that's, well, it's actually got burned down now. But it was the mountain that had the cherry blossom tree on top of it that made it look like a samurai's top knot. That's also a reference because Ashura Doji's hair, as we all know in the anime, is pink, okay? And he has the top knot, so his hair kind of looks like a cherry blossom tree. Gotta be honest with you, I thought we were going to see more a little bit of Ashura Doji in this chapter. Considering the chapter's named after him, I thought we were going to have, like, we do get a big moment with Ashura, but I think the moment with him would have been better suited as the cliffhanger of this chapter rather than at the beginning, because the beginning of the chapter is the moment with Ashura, and then the end of the chapter we actually cut back up to the roof to see Luffy and everybody fighting against Kaido and Big Mom, right? And I guess, you know, if you're gonna ask me personally, would you rather like a chapter cliffhanger involving Ashura Doji doing something heroic, self-sacrifice for the other scabbards, or would you rather have the chapter end with Kaido and Big Mom fighting against the supernovas? I'd probably go with Kaido and Big Mom fighting the supernovas, but, well, we'll get into it. Actually, we'll get into it right now, because we cut right where we left off last time. We had Kozuki Oden open up the doors where the scabbards were resting after they were healed, and you see Oden there, and his design looked, you know, a little bit different. You know, obviously the swords were different. He hasn't appeared to age at all. His robe was a little longer, although we found out later that that was actually shown in various, like, sometimes Oden wore really, short robes, and other times he wore longer ones, so that wasn't that big of an inconsistency. I personally thought it was Onimaru. I thought it was the Kitsune fox that became Gyukimaru. I thought that was the appearance that was, taking the form of Oden. Well, we find out that some people were right. I was not right, but some people were right. Artur was definitely right. Okay. So first, though, Oden is there in the doorway. All the scabbards are dumbfounded by this. You know, Kinemon and Denjiro, they have, like, tears streaming down their face. Like, Oden, is it really you? Yes, it's me, Kinemon, of course! I'm Kozuki Oden! Badass samurai extraordinaire. Anyway, I got flung into the future by Toki's powers. It was really complicated. It involved some kind of tree demon named Aku. Now I have to get back to the past. But before that, let's go fight Kaido. Alright, that was mostly a Samurai Jack reference, but that's what Oden says. He's like, basically he opens up the door and he's like, hey guys, I got flung into the future by Toki's powers. I know it's weird to see me still alive. We don't have time for that right now. Let's go fight Kaido. Just like old times. And the scabbards, of course, keep in mind, they also kind of just lost a lot of blood. You know, they were fighting against Kaido in a dragon form, alright? So they're kind of worse for wear. I mean, they're patched up a little bit, but at the end of the day, they're still pretty wounded. Kiku's missing an arm, for God's sake, okay? So can't just patch that back together. Well, it's One Piece, maybe you can, but in this case, you can't. So, I imagine, considering they're seeing Oden and all the other crazy stuff that's happened today, they want to believe it. And of course, Kinemon and the others, they traveled through time using Toki's powers, so Kinemon at that moment probably was like, yeah, it's possible, it's conceivable, we can do this, we can fight, let's go, Oden, let's go kick Kaido's ass, yeah! So they're all getting ready to go up and follow Oden. Kinemon, Nekomamushi, Okiku, Inuarashi, Kawamatsu, even Izo. And of course, Izo, was outside the country for a long time. Izo wasn't part of the time jump or anything, but even Izo is believing this. Denjiro is just like, covering his eyes, just weeping and just tears of joy. But the two people that are kind of, not immediate to just like rush out the door with Oden, Ashura Doji and Raizo, okay? You'd figure in a group this big, there's 9 of them, in a group this big, not all of them are gonna fall for this hook, line, and sinker, you know what I mean? Maybe if it was just Kinemon and Denjiro, they would have been like, oh, Oden, we missed you, but there's 9 of them there. So a few of them are gonna be like, oh, Oden, wait a second, something's a little fishy in Denmark. This doesn't sound right, okay? And so it's Ashura and Raizo. Ashura kind of is the one that's like, wait, Kinemon, you fool! Come to your senses! Oden is dead! And of course, you know, Kinemon, he's like, well, Ashura, what do you mean? He's standing right there. He looks just like him. Also, the fact he does look just like they remember, and he talks and acts like his mannerisms are all exactly like Oden, you know? This isn't like a poor imitation like Robo Oden or something like, hello, scabbards, I am Kozuki Oden. We shall go fight Kaido. Let us go. It's like, I don't think that's really Oden. No, you fool. I am Oden. I like to eat Oden. Yeah, okay, it's pretty much Oden. No, this is like an exact replica, exactly how they remember the dude, right? But Ashura Doji's like, wait, and Raizo's like, wait. He's like, you know, remember what Toki told us. You know, Toki said that her powers can, yeah, she can send people into the future, but going back to the past, or traveling to the past, or messing with the past, that's impossible. You can't do that in the One Piece world, all right? That's not how time travel works in this particular work of fiction. And they remember Oden definitely died. And in fact, the way that they say that is like, you know, Oden-sama definitely died that day. That's a fact. Okay, we'll get back to that in a moment. But he's like, he's dead. So even if Toki did have the ability to send him into the future, we already saw him die. So it doesn't make any sense for him to be here. Like, he would be a corpse if you know, she sent him into the future, right? He still died. We still saw that, right? So, I guess I'll just talk about that now. How do you know? How do you know, Raizo, like, with 100% certainty? Like, no, this Oden does turn out to be a fake in this one particular instance, but I'm like, the way I remember this, Oden had all of his scabbards on the plank, and then after the hour was up in the oil, you know, they knew, you know, Oden knew he wasn't going to live. They weren't going to just let him go. They were still going to kill him. So he took the plank and he, you know, threw all the scabbards on the ground and he's like, run, my scabbards, run to the hills. I'll stay here, you know. And so all the scabbards book it. They all run. They flee. Like, as soon as they hit the ground, they started sprinting out of the flower capital, right? And then Kaido got up, took out the gun, had a few last words with Oden, and then shot him in the face, okay? I'm just saying, like, even if the scabbards looked back to see him get shot, it would have been at a distance, and they would have just seen Oden get shot, but he's Oden, for God's sake, right? Like, if I was running from a distance and I saw Kozuki Oden, like, kind of get shot in the distance, I would be like, well, the bullet definitely hit him. That doesn't mean he's dead, though. And yeah, he fell into the vat of oil, but we never saw the body. That's one of the big questions that we actually still have. Like, what happened to Oden's actual body? We still do not know. So, I don't know. I mean, like this turned out to be a fake, of course. Like, too good to be true. But I don't know. The way that Raizo and Ashura are talking about this, like, oh, he definitely died that day, 100%. They didn't get to see his body. They didn't get to see any proof 100%. So, I don't know about that, but we'll see where it goes. Anyway, what happens right here is that Ashura Doji basically knocks Kinemon away because he's like not listening to him. He's like, Ashura, you gotta have faith. He's here. And Ashura's like, okay, well, I guess. BAM! He smacks freaking Kinemon right upside the face, takes out his sword, and goes to slash Oden. And everyone's like, what are you doing, Ashura, you madman? And he slices Oden's face, and it leaves a mark. It like literally cuts Oden's face. A big chunk out of it, actually, out of his cheek, but there's no blood. And so Ashura is like, see, no blood. I told you he wasn't the real. And then Oden takes out his swords and then stabs Ashura. And then everyone's like, what's going on? And so they don't really know what's happening here. And they're like, well, like, this is Oden. This is exactly Oden. So if it's a copy of Oden, if it's a fake, and it's an enemy, it has to be an enemy that knows Oden inside and out, right? That, like, knows how he used to act. And that, of course, you know, light bulb in front of every scabbard's head right there. Like, wait a second. Enemy knows about Oden, has the ability to create copies. Damn it, it's Kanjuro. So yes, everybody out there that put your money on Kanjuro Kurozumi still being alive and using the power of his unnamed brush fruit, I guess I'll just call it the brush fruit right now, to make a copy of Oden to fool the scabbards, you win all the chips on that one. Congratulations. You know, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. What can I say? Now, a few things to mention here. First off, you know, Ashura Doji is still very much upset by this like everybody else. Ashura still has tears down his face because you bet that Ashura, you know, he was pretty sure it was a fake. fake, but he was kind of hoping he was wrong, right? He's just like, this is way too easy, this is way too much of a happy ending to this story, and he knocks Kinemon aside and goes to cut Oden. I bet part of Ashura Doji really did think that it was actually going to be Oden this whole time, but of course it wasn't. Izo, Okiku, everybody is surprised by this. Denjiro looks like he's got the rage face, like his face is about to get even more contorted from rage, and he's like, Kanjuro! And Oden's there, and he's like, what are you guys saying? I'm Kozuki Oden! And yeah, it turns out it's Kanjuro. So Ashura gets stabbed, and they're kind of clashing with this fake Oden right here. And the Oden states that, yes, it's very difficult to control a puppet remotely like this. So this is Kanjuro at some other location in the castle, not too far away, but far enough to be outside of their range of their attacks. And he created a clone, an ink clone of Oden, and he sent it to go attack, sort of like a remote stand from JoJo, which I actually looked up because I was curious, like, were there any stands in JoJo that have a similar abilities to Kanjuro's ability, making, drawings come to life? And anybody that's out there that's read Stone Ocean knows the answer to that. I haven't read Stone Ocean, I just looked it up this morning, but Bohemian Rhapsody, which is great. They took a Queen song for that, and so, yeah, that's Kanjuro's ability, Bohemian Rhapsody! Alright, so he can do that. He's like a remote stand user from a distance, but it kind of takes a lot of stamina. Kanjuro also mentions, like, yeah, I have been mortally wounded, and Okiku's like, I'm so sorry, Ashura, I meant to finish him off, but I just couldn't do it. But Kanjuro is still wounded, alright? And like I said, I kind of talked about this a little bit in a video last week. I'm like, look, even if Kanjuro is the person that was going to, like, be Oden this whole time, like he made a fake Oden or whatever, at least to the end of the day, he's not like, he didn't just like change his mind all of a sudden, right? He didn't just flip the script and be like, okay guys, I'm sorry I was kind of a dick there, betraying all of you for decades, but you know what? I feel genuinely bad about what I did, so can we be friends now? Can you help me? Can you welcome me back into the clubhouse? No. Kanjuro was a duplicitous bastard from day one, and he still is right now, okay? Even after facing off all of his former friends in battle, and they cut him down, and he was lying in the snow. He got back up, wounded. He knows he's not going to last much longer. He knows it's a fatal wound. He's only got maybe a few hours left to live, and he decided to spend those last few hours doing what he does best, Now, here is the question, though. Here is the question. Who is the person that healed the scabbards? Because, like I said, the silhouette that we saw healing the scabbards was not Oden's silhouette, alright? It just didn't make any sense, alright? That silhouette was a lot smaller, a lot more slender in the frame. It looked like Hiyori or Toki, really. Now, you could say, well, maybe that was Kanjuro, too. Kanjuro used his ink powers to create a clone of Toki. So Kanjuro made a clone of Toki to heal the scabbards, and then that clone left, and then he made another clone of Oden to show up and, surprise them all. I guess that's feasible. Like I said in the video, Kanjuro's not exactly mentally stable right now. He does seem to have, like when he beat the crap out of Momonosuke, he was like, when I get in that rage mode, I just lose myself, you know what I mean? Anyway, so he's not all there, so, I guess that's not completely out of the ballpark, like I'll make a version of Toki to heal them, then I'll make a version of Oden to stab them. I guess that's not completely crazy given Kanjuro's personality, and the fact that we don't know a lot about Kanjuro's personality because he was acting the whole time. There's probably a lot of stuff about him that we don't really know about his true nature, right? But yeah, for right now, I'm going to say the person healing the scabbards had nothing to do with Kanjuro. Somebody else that healed them and then retreated, and then Kanjuro showed up, alright? But it could have been Kanjuro as well. I'm just saying the silhouettes don't really match up, okay? So, take that what you will. We'll see where that goes. So, at any rate, they're fighting against the ink clone, and they realize that Momonosuke, though, is in danger. They heard the announcement, like everybody else, that Momonosuke was being protected by Yamato and a shinobi, or a kunoichi, so that's Shinobu, of course. And so they're like, okay, we have to go get to Shinobu and Momo and protect them, right? Okay. So they're getting ready to leave the room where they were in, like just like cut right through the fake Oden and get out of there, when the fake Oden opens up his gi, and you see dynamite inside of of it. So this is wired to blow. I don't know if it was like, you know, that's how Kanjuro's ability works. Can he just draw dynamite and have it be dynamite, or is an actual explosive? Whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying that'd be a pretty useful Devil Fruit ability. Not only can you create like animals, like you can fly on the back of a crane, or you could summon like a giant tiger to attack your enemies, or make clones of samurai or whatever, but like explosives and stuff, can you create that with your power? I mean, that would be pretty useful. So anyway, he has an explosive thing on, kind of similar to Pedro, and he opens that up and he lights it, and Ashura sees it, and he's just like, "No! My friends! Go on without me! Find Momo! Make sure Kaido goes down and then kick him into hell for me!" Ah! Dramatic music cues up in the background. Da 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 da. Ashura dives on top of, he sumo crashes on top of Oden. They burst out of the room as the dynamite detonates. Boom! Freaking giant explosion in the hall. Everybody looks up at this huge fireball erupting with just a few cherry blossom petals fluttering in the wind, which are actually Ashura Doji's hair. And he crashes to the ground. The ink clone completely just like obliterated, I would imagine, because it is an ink clone. It's not as durable as regular humans. And I think we just see like the smoldering, body of Ashura hit the ground. We don't see it in too much detail, but we see his sword. The sword, of course, dramatically falls and lands in the ground just like this, next to his charred body. And that's the title of the chapter, Ashura Doji, the head bandit of the Atamayama mountain bandit crew. He gave of himself, sacrificed himself so the other scabbards can continue on. I'm going to assume, I'm just going to throw it out there, given the fact of some other things we find out in this chapter. I'm going to assume that Ashura Doji's not dead, but I am going to assume, like, this might have been his moment, right? Like, this might have been the moment that he had in the arc. I kind of hope it's not just this. I hope it's a little bit more than this, because we really didn't get a lot of Ashura. I mean, we got his flashback with Oden, but in terms of, like, a straight-up fight, like a one-on-one fight, or, like, Ashura helps out one of the Straw Hats against one of the Tobi Roppo, or fights any of the gifters, like, one-on-one, like, we get to see his actual sword styles in, like, full view or anything. Didn't really get much of that, but he did protect everybody, so way to go, Ashura. Way to go, Ashura. You were certainly MVP for this chapter. All right. So, moving on here. After the explosion occurs, Kanjuro, we actually see him. He's darting out from somewhere, We don't actually know if, actually, the panels are a little bit, obscuring. I'm not really sure if the scabbards see Kanjuro. I think they probably have to, because Kinemon picks up his swords, and he's, in a rage. He's like, "Kanjuro!" And he's, running off. So I think they do see him. So Kanjuro was, below where Ashura landed, and he hops out with his brush, and he's like, "Ha ha ha ha!" And he runs off, scampering around the hallway, and I think Kinemon's rushing after him. So we're probably going to see that moment there. We're going to see probably Kinemon straight up fight against Kanjuro, which is, I think, the best way that can actually end there. However, before we get to that, we have a little bit of a problem. Jack has now arrived. Okay, so not only Kanjuro, he's going to get away. We also have Jack stomping. He's like, "Well, that took a little while to get here. Had to beat down all these minks. Whatever. Time to kick your asses." And so everyone's there, and now Inuarashi, this is a chapter that kind of, breaks up the scabbards a little bit for their individual fights, which is nice, because, they had their big fight against Kaido, but that's not all Oda was going to do with. I was a little concerned about that, because it's like, okay, obviously the scabbards have to fight Kaido. They have to, okay? So they did, and then they got beaten down, and they had that moment where they're like, "Luffy, you gotta defeat Kaido, please." And then now they're healed, but that can't just be all that's it for the fight, for the arc. There has to be more to that. So it's looking like each of the individual scabbards are gonna have their own battle here, where Kinemon's probably gonna fight against Kanjuro, Inuarashi here is gonna take on Jack directly, and Ashura fought against an ink clone of Oden. You see how this doesn't, sync up exactly? I think Ashura is still alive. Okay. So, Jack is there. Inuarashi is just like, "Okay, Cat, Raizo, everybody, you get going, you go after Kanjuro, and you go protect Momonosuke. I'll take care of Jack here." And I actually like the way that I like the way that Inuarashi speaks about this. He goes up to Jack, and he's like, "Look, Jack, I'm not fighting you because of what you did at Zou. I'm not fighting you for that. I'm simply fighting you for the fact that I gotta put you down so the others can get to Momonosuke, okay? So the way Inu is describing this, he's like, this is not a grudge match. Alright, it could have been anybody. I mean, you could have been Queen, you could have been King, you could have been some other member of the Beast Pirate crew that's here to hinder our progress. I would have decided to fight you one-on-one anyway. Alright, so it's not about Zou, but it is about Zou. You know Inu Arashi. So we have like 1-to-1 right now. Keep that in mind. Jack won the fight at Zou because of Caesar's gas weapon, and then Inu Arashi won the last fight against Jack due to his Sulong, okay? And so this is actually a fun scene where Jack is like, the moon's not gonna be shining down on you here, you know, you stupid dog. And then Inu Arashi's like, huh, funny. I was also just thinking there was no poison gas around here to use. So yeah, I think we're pretty fair. Let's do this, you damn mammoth. Alright, so that was pretty funny. It's just like, basically like the fight is now on an even keel. They're both very injured. One of Jack's tusks is like, it looked like one of his tusks got like snapped off, so they just like kind of stapled it back on him. And so obviously Inarashi's all wrecked from Kaido, and you know, he can't access Sulong here, but also Jack is very wounded and doesn't have Caesar's gas weapon here. So now it'll be more of a one-on-one fight. Now, how's this gonna go? Because Nekomamushi's not fighting alongside Inu. Maybe Neko might turn back. There might be a moment where this might be the moment where Neko kind of like, you know, they were kind of friends up until now anyway. They were kind of rekindling their relationship. But this could be the moment right here and now where Nekomamushi's running away and he turns back and he sees Inu kind of in like, bring it on, mammoth. And Neko's like, I gotta do it. Gotta protect him. And then he runs back and he does like the shoulder toss thing, like the suplex thing he did at Zou with Jack again, right? And so, I mean, I would really like to see a full drawn out battle between Inu Arashi and Nekomamushi, but from what we see right here in this chapter, Nekomamushi is just running past Jack, heading on to try to protect Momo. So you got Neko, you got Okiku, you got Kawamatsu. Kinemon looks like he's rushing toward Kanjuro and Denjiro and Raizo. I don't think we see in this panel, but they are heading out as well. So that's that scene there. Let me know down below, who do you think like the individual scabbers are going to fight, if they're going to join up with the Straw Hats or maybe join up more in the festival hall. You can also have some of them like Okiku and Kawamatsu fight against help Chopper fight against Queen or something. You could also have something like that, or help Marco fight against King, maybe something along those lines. But anyway, we don't have time for that because now we cut over to another part of the castle. It is currently on fire, and that's not really a surprise to me. Like, there's like, oh no, put out the fire, the entire, you know, castle will be erupted, and be erupted. That was a weird way to be a flame. There we go, that's better. It's not a volcano. Is Onigashima a volcano? Is Muffin Mountain a volcano? If it was revealed that it was, I would not be surprised. I guess when Kaido lifted up the entire island, I guess we would probably see some magma dripping down if it was an active volcano. So I guess not, but I'm not completely against throwing that out of the gate yet. Anyway, the castle's on fire, which all the crazy stuff going on right here, I wasn't really shocked by that. Like, no duh, the castle's on fire. But oh no. You know what the cause of this specific fire is? It's not Marco and King's fight, you know, King using his wildfire ability. It's not like all the other people fighting in the hallway or anything like that. No, it's actually caused, ready for this? Drum roll, Barry, let's do this. Oh yeah, here we go. It's I am Lord Orochi! I am back from the dead! Everybody thought I was dead, but I am not, because I am Lord Orochi! I cannot die! I am immortal! And now I'll set fire to Kaido's castle! He thinks he can kill me! He thinks he can cut my head off in mid-sentence! No one does anything to mid-sentence to Master Orochi! You know, okay, so, Orochi's alive! Yup! Just gonna give you a little while to process that. Maybe a few seconds to process that. I'll be here. Hold on. How you guys doing? You doing all right? I mean, there's people that'll process it quick, and there's other people that are still like slamming their keyboards right now, like, no, punches the monitor, no. All right, so I wasn't 100% on this. It was a while. It's like what, July of last year, so. Yeah, we're talking like 8 months or so. That last time we saw Orochi when he got decapitated. We saw his head a few chapters ago. Here he is with his giant bobblehead on top of his weird misshapen body. He's there. Fukurokuju's in the background, seemingly assisting him, lighting fire to the entire castle. He's obviously pissed. He's like, oh, Kaido wants to kill me and betray me? Alright, I'll burn his castle down. So he's doing that. Fukurokuju, this is kind of funny. So they're like walking through the hallway, just lighting stuff on fire. And I guess somebody opens the door, like a random member of the Beast Pirates opens the door, and he's like, oh, Orochi, you're still alive! Boom! And then Fukurokuju just shoots him in the head and just guns him down. So literally, it's Orochi starting fires, and anybody that would disturb Orochi or walk in and be like, you're still alive, Fukurokuju, just, you know, shoots them in the face. So that was where Fukurokuju was heading. We saw him kind of leave the battlefield after the fighting really got intense. Hote kind of noticed him leaving, but Hote was defeated by Hyorogoro, so don't expect him to show up or anything. So Fukurokuju is still there. I'm a little bit curious on what his motives are, if he's like really that dedicated to Orochi, and he's like, I swore fealty to Lord Orochi, you know, 20 years ago, and I shall always hold true to, like, I don't know, like, what's in it for him? I don't really get it, unless Fukurokuju has his own sort of, like, motive here, where he's gonna kill Orochi and he's gonna be the next shogun. I don't really know. I just feel like it's not purely out of loyalty here for Fukurokuju's part. I don't see him just, you know, swearing loyalty to Orochi and like, whatever you do, Orochi, I'm here to help you, no matter what. It's probably due to the effects of the mythical Yamato no Orochi fruit. That's probably the reason he's still alive. At least that's what I'm going to go with right now. That because he has, you know, the nine-headed serpent. You know, he lopped off one head. Well, there's 8 more. Or was it an 8-headed serpent? I think it was an 8-headed serpent. Yeah, an 8-headed serpent, so he has 7 heads. I'm just going to go with that. There were some other options on the table, like he was one of Kanjuro's ink clones. Considering we had Kanjuro in this chapter, maybe, but maybe that would have been going a little bit too much with it. It could have been a body double, or using ninjutsu to make a body double. Like, you know, you take a random person that kind of looks like Orochi and use transformation jutsu, because ninjutsu's a thing in One Piece, and then poof, and then it was a fake Orochi the whole time. I don't know. I like the idea of the Yamato no Orochi, because that gives, it's a mythical zone, and that would give it some kind of ability, like the user has to be killed 8 times in order to, you know, get to that point. And Fukurokuju was one of Orochi's closest confidants for the last 20 years. So maybe Orochi told Fukurokuju, and he's like, hey, Fukurokuju, this ability that I have allows me to die 7 times before I have to be dead for good, right? So if I ever die, if you ever see me get my head cut off for some reason, you know, make sure to, you know, not believe it, because I'm still alive, right? And so Fukurokuju's like, very interesting, Lord Orochi, yes. So Orochi, if he did know about that ability, if that he knew, like, he was going to come back after dying, if he did know about that, and if he told Fukurokuju about that, and given how paranoid Orochi is, this was probably a planned thing. This was probably like, okay, if Kaido ever betrays me and kills me, this is our plan B. This is what we do. You come and find me, and then we burn his castle down. Also, he mentions that, like, stupid Kaido, you have this giant fortress, this giant muffin mountain lifted into the sky. I'll burn it all down so you can't run anywhere. And forgetting the point that Dragon Kaido is a Dragon Kaido, and Dragon Kaido can fly. So, you know, I think it's more of just Orochi's pretty spiteful right now, pretty annoyed of getting his head cut off by Kaido. So, yeah, anyway, Orochi's still alive, guys. The headliner of the Wano arc is still around, and you know what? That's okay, because now we could see Zoro cutting his head off, or Kinemon cutting his head off, or Denjiro cutting his head off, or any of the Scabbards cutting his head off, or Momo cutting his head off, or Yamato cutting his head off, or Luffy punching his head off, or, you know, any variation thereof. Pretty much anybody in this arc could cut Orochi's head off and I'd be okay. You could have a random member of the Beast Pirates walk up and be like, hey there, my name's Norman. I was just drafted into Kaido's army. I'm a waiter. You know, kind of sucks. There's no more devil fruits coming in, so I guess I'll be a waiter forever. Anyway, I'm here to cut your head off, Orochi. Sing and be like, yeah, Norman! Norman for Straw Hat! Woo! Okay, so now we cut back over to Yamato and Shinobu and Momo. Yeah, Yamato, Momo, Shinobu. Okay, they're their little group there. There's still a lot of their scenes are just running around the towers, but they're running around the towers. Talking a little bit about Momo's devil fruit transformation. Momo's now back into his human form, and Yamato is saying, you know, I was really surprised by that. You know, you turning into an eel dragon. You know, that was crazy. My father can personally turn into a fish duck dragon, so you turning into an eel dragon. That's not too crazy. Yamato also brings up, like, if I had that ability to turn into a dragon like my father, I would be a huge asset to this war. So implying that Yamato cannot do that, but we did see the scene with Yamato's teeth becoming jagged, like, you know, dragon-like teeth, okay? So here's the thing I wanted to bring up here involving this. There's another moment with Momo in a second. Momo does mention that he has a little bit better control over his dragon fruit than he used to. You know, he mentions that back when he first ate the fruit on Punk Hazard, whenever he got really scared or anxious, he would turn into a dragon. Now he has somewhat better control over it. So that's really good. So Momo is learning. Still, it's not like a normal zone where you kind of get the handle on that pretty soon. This has been like a few weeks or months since he ate the fruit, but he's still learning it, so that's pretty good. Now, involving Yamato's power, too, you know, we saw with the teeth and everything like that. So here's something interesting. We just had a chapter a little while ago where the CP0 members were talking about the lineage factor. Vegapunk, you know, when the Marines captured Kaido, took a sample of his lineage factor or his DNA, Kaido DNA, and he used that to make this artificial devil fruit that was then consumed by Momo, okay? So we have that. But we also got to imply that DNA, you know, in our world is genetic, a genetic factor, right? Okay, so, you know, if both of your parents had brown hair, like my parents did, then you're probably going to end up with a child with brown hair. Hence why I have brown hair, okay? It's genetics. So, here's a question that's been brought up a few times. I get this question a lot. I think I'll finally make a video about this because I think this is the chapter that really addresses it, you know, in a big way. What happens if somebody that has a devil fruit power has a child? Does that child also have a devil fruit power? Or maybe not the same devil fruit power, but does that child have some sort of added benefit or added ability because the parent was a devil fruit user and it's in their genetics passed down? Now, we don't get to see this very often in One Piece where we see a parent that has a devil fruit power and have kids and see how the kids turn out, right? The only other example we have other than Kaido and Yamato is Big Mom and all of her children, okay? Big Mom had the power of the Soul Fruit when she was a little kid. After that moment with her 6th birthday party, that's still kind of up in the air. I still think that she just ate Mother Caramel and all of her friends. You know, she just chomped down on them and that's how she got the power of the Soul Fruit. But whatever. Regardless how you think that Big Mom received her Soul powers, it stands to reason she still had the powers well before she had any kids. And then throughout her life, she had 85 kids, from Perospero all the way down to Anana as the last child, and we had 85 kids, and she had the Soul fruits for every single one of them, and none of her kids seem to have had any sort of, you know, ability that was linked to the Soul Nomi, right? Like, none of her kids, like, Katakuri could not summon a donut homie or anything like that. And you know Katakuri would definitely do that. If Katakuri received even just a fraction of the Soul powers from his mom, Katakuri would be like, I'm going to make this donut, and I will name him Danny the Donut, and he will be my familiar, and he will be my best friend, you know? Katakuri would have a little donut homie, Perospero would have a little candy cane homie, Daifuku would have like a little bean, you know, because he's the minister of the Bean Island, you know? Oven would just have, I don't know, a sliced piece of, like a pie, I guess, I don't know, a pie homie following him around or whatever. That would actually have been really cool. Right, if like each of the Charlotte family members had a fraction of the soul power. Not a lot, so they couldn't do all the crazy stuff Big Mom could do, like the soul pocus or anything, but they had just enough soul power from their parent to make exactly one homie at a time of their choosing. That would have been cool to see each of them have that, right? But we didn't see that. We didn't see any of that. Now, yes, Katakuri was really strong, Perospero, all of the Sweet Commanders are really strong, you know, except Snack, he was kind of eh. But none of the abilities that seem to come from the devil fruits and from the soul fruit, and a lot of Big Mom's children had devil fruits of themselves as well, right? Like Katakuri had his own devil fruit, so how does that work? Well, you can get around that problem by saying that, you know, Big Mom's like soul powers, that's in her genetics, it's passed on, so it doesn't count as a devil fruit power. So you could still have the genetics and you could still eat another devil fruit. Maybe you can get around that there. But that's the only other example we had, and Big Mom had a paramecia. The only example we have of a zone fruit, a parent having a zone fruit and then having a child, is Kaido and Yamato. So maybe the rules are different. Okay, so Kaido had zone powers, which are raw powers of the animals, in this case a dragonfish, and so maybe that genetic factor is easier to pass on than the paramecia factor. Okay? Big Mom had 85 kids, so I feel like even if it's like it didn't always get passed on, like it wasn't like 100% guarantee, you'd think that out of 85 kids, if the soul powers, if it was feasible for them to pass on to any of the other kids, it would have happened a few times, right? 85 kids, for God's sake. So maybe with some devil fruits, or maybe with a certain classification of devil fruits, they don't pass on. But considering that zone fruits, like, you know, they literally change the person's body. You're literally turning into an animal. Maybe it's easier for the zone genetics to pass on to the offspring. So in this case, with Yamato, received some of the fish dragon duck powers, but not all of them. So Yamato cannot turn into a full-fledged Chinese dragon like Kaido, nor can Yamato, you know, breathe fire or anything like that, or do any of the breath weapons. But Yamato might be able to have some of the fangs, like we already saw the fangs, maybe create some of the scale armor, maybe something like that. But there's a limit. There's a limit here. So that's the situation with Yamato, so I might make a video kind of explaining that in greater detail this week, as best as I can anyway. Now here's the really interesting thing. As Yamato is sort of lamenting that and whatever, you know, you have Momo in the background, like, Luffy is injured. He was hit by Kaido a few times, but he should still be okay. He's still fighting. And so Momo says this out of nowhere, like, Luffy's hurt, but he should be okay. And Shinobu's like, oh, okay, that's good to know. Oh, wait, how do you know that? And so that was a moment that's just like, and Momo's just like, what do you mean? Like, Momo acts about, like, Momo just had the power of clairvoyance, like Viola's devil fruit power. Like, Momo just psychically knew what the battle involving Kaido and Luffy and everybody was doing. And Shinobu's like, how do you know that? And Momo's like, what? Oh, I just do. So, Now this is something interesting, also probably going back to the lineage factor, okay? So, Vegapunk created the artificial dragon fruit out of Kaido's DNA. So it's very possible that that devil fruit DNA and whoever eats it, Momo in this case, might be actually linked to Kaido. Think of it like, I gotta think of a good metaphor for this. Okay, let's do this then. Harry Potter, okay? In Harry Potter, Harry has his wand that has the phoenix feather in it, right? Voldemort also has a wand with a phoenix feather plucked from the exact same phoenix. Same animal, two wands came from. So therefore, their wands are like at odds. Like they can never like defeat each other for that reason, okay? That's like a big plot thread in Harry Potter, right? Think of that in the same way here, where every devil fruit houses like the essence, the soul of the devil fruit. The essence is the thing that actually gives you the power. The fruit is just the vessel. You bite into the fruit, you absorb the essence, the fruit just becomes a rotted piece of fruit. And then you have the essence inside of you. And then when you die, you're just a vessel. When you die, the essence leaves and inhabits another fruit, and the cycle continues, okay? So there's only one bit of that essence. Now, Vegapunk is a mad scientist, so he figured out a way to science the crap out of this. So he hauled Kaido, bring him in! You know, they drugged him on a bunch of freaking sake, and he's like, oh, sake, glug, 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 boom! Yeah, we did it! Okay, drag him in there, alright. Vegapunk takes out a giant syringe, just like, all right, let's get some blood here. So the fruit that he created wasn't necessarily a brand new dragon fruit. It still maybe had the essence. Using science, Vegapunk like ripped part of the essence out of Kaido and stuck it in that devil fruit. So Momo's devil fruit and Kaido's devil fruit are linked because you can't have more than one devil fruit. So let me put it another way. When Kaido consumed his dragon fruit, the actual dragon fruit in nature, the natural one, he had 100% of the dragon powers inside of him. All of it. When Vegapunk did his experiments, he took out maybe 1%. So Kaido is like 99% a full dragon right now. Momo's 1% of a full dragon. Or maybe 2%, or maybe some other, you know, small percentage. That's why maybe Momo can only turn into a tiny little dragon and doesn't have all the different capabilities Kaido has. It's the same fruit. It's the same essence, just split apart. Because you can't have two of the same thing. Now, whenever you get to the smiles that Caesar created, that's kind of a different ball game. Caesar made those in a different way than the way Vegapunk created this. Vegapunk actively took blood from Kaido to make this fruit, okay? The smiles might have just been like animal DNA or whatever, but this was taken from an actual dragon, an actual devil fruit user, okay? So the rules are going to be different. So that might be the reason here. And also, because of that, Momo has this psychic link to Kaido a little bit, also kind of similar to Harry and Voldemort from the series there, if you ever, read all of the books, right? They have that psychic link around book 4, book 5, that happens. So because of that, Momo, without even realizing it, he doesn't see Luffy, he just knows. Because Kaido is fighting him, and now we cut to the last scene of the chapter where we're on the roof, and we see Kaido and everybody fighting, we see Luffy and everybody fighting Kaido and Big Mom. I'm gonna go through this scene really quick, and then we'll get back to my theory. So, Luffy and Zoro and everybody are there. It really, the scene in Team 4-Star, Dragon Ball Z Abridged in the Return of Cooler movie, Revenge of Cooler, where Vegeta's just charging at Cooler, and then BAM! And then bam! And then, yeah! Bam! That's basically what Luffy's doing right now. Luffy's just charging at Kaido, and Kaido's just bam! And then Luffy charges him at again. Bam! And he's like, we can keep this up all day, kid. He's like, I'm rubber, I always bounce back. So Luffy's basically just doing that. Law and Zoro and everybody are kind of not even helping him. They're just like, we need to figure this out. Ah! Yeah, I know, but he's just so damn tough. I mean, aren't any of our attacks even hurting him? Ah! Okay, so Luffy's doing that while they're just having a conversation. That's hilarious. But Luffy, at one point when he gets knocked back, he's like, oh, our attacks are definitely doing something. They're humans too, just like us. Our attacks are definitely doing damage. We just have to keep at it. Ah! Oh. Zoro's like, would you please stop that? It didn't work the first 12 times you tried it. Why the hell would it work the next time, And so you see a full view of Kaido and Big Mom there. Big Mom is on top of Prometheus, Zeus in hand, Napoleon in the other hand, like, ha ha ha, and then Kaido's there in his hybrid. We see him in his hybrid. I'll be honest with you, it's really not that much different from his regular form. You know how he has those scale tattoos? He's just got more of that, all right? He's got the scale tattoos covering his chest more, both of his arms like tattoo sleeves. He's got his regular horns and then 2 more horns on top of his head. He's got, more pronounced claws, more pronounced fangs. And beyond that, he has a tail, and that's it. So tail, claws, fangs, 2 more horns, and tattoo sleeves, and that's pretty much what Kaido's got in his hybrid. I mean, it looks cool, it looks badass, but, if you were expecting something really weird looking or, like, different, like, not what you expected, that is certainly not the case here. He looks like a hybrid Dragon Oni, to be honest with you, with a little bit of duck thrown in as well. And some fish, yes. But anyway, they're there, and so Law's like, we need to split these guys up. Man, if only I had some sort of devil fruit power that would allow me to, like, separate people. And then Zoro's like, I concur, Law. I agree. We need to do that. And so, kids, like, fighting these two together is like, it's like fighting in hell. It's like, this is hell. And Luffy gets the last line of the chapter where he's just like, hell, huh? I've been there a few times. I've been to hell and back. I think we can take them. And so Kaido just kind of smirks in the last panel, and he's just like, those eyes never lose light, do they, kid? Like, Kaido's happy because no matter how many times he beats Luffy down, he gets right back up, he does not resign, and he's just like, all right, you won round 17, let's go round 18, let's just do it. And Kaido's like, I like this kid. He's gonna fight to the bitter end. I love that. I also love the line where he says, I've been to hell too a few times. Like that one time he got, attacked by Arlong and he got thrown in the water. That was a close call there. And, that other time where, he got stabbed by Crocodile, that was pretty close to death. Oh, and that other time where he got poisoned by Magellan, which is actually very apropos because he got poisoned by Magellan in level 4 of Impel Down, which was hell, which was also a flame and fire, also in hell. Also redundant. A flame and fire, yes. So Luffy has been to hell quite a few times. That's actually an interesting way for him to phrase it. And that's where we end the chapter. No break next week, so that's good. So, really quick, just with Law's ability, I feel like it should be very easy to break those two up, right? I mean, maybe getting Big Mom out of there, because they obviously, Luffy, Kid, Zoro, Law, Killer, they want to fight against Kaido, right? They have to figure out a way to get Big Mom out of there. That's going to be a little difficult, because Big Mom can fly. Kaido can too, but, with Prometheus, even if Law uses his room and shambles to, like, send her to, like, the far perimeter of his power, like with the swap thing, she can just fly right back over. So that's going to be a little bit of a problem. I still want the idea of him just popping Big Mom back down to the festival hall, but there's people down there. I don't know if, Law wants to put them in danger, right? Like, his crew's fighting down there, for God's sake. So they got to figure out another way to split them up somehow. I hope it doesn't involve splitting up this group. I hope it's not like, okay, Kid, you and Killer distract Big Mom, Law and Zoro and Luffy are going to fight against Kaido. I hope it's nothing like that. I hope they keep this group. They didn't Luffy apparently didn't get any attacks in on Kaido. None that we could see. He's just like bouncing back and forth, okay? So I'm not going to add anything to the counter this time. But I guess if we're going to cut back to this fight, I guess we'll see what happens. But anyway, because Kaido is there watching Luffy and he's like, kind of smiling, kind of like respecting Luffy a bit. Like, oh, that light never leaves your eyes, kid. You're always going to fight. You're always going to stand up. That's pretty cool. Momo can he knows that information too. It might not even be like he knows it like it appears in his mind like a vision. It might just be like he has a feeling or like an emotion of it, He's just like, I have a feeling Luffy's doing okay right now. He's getting beaten down, but he's not out for the count yet. It might be something like that. I think that might be where Oda's going with this. It's like a psychic connection between the Devil Fruits, and also considering that the CP0 member just brought this up a few chapters ago. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with Vegapunk splitting the essence, ripping part of it off, Kaido having the majority, like 98, 99% of the dragon powers, and then Momo has like 1 or 2% of it, and that's the reason he can barely maintain a transformation, and he's like a tiny dragon, and he can barely do anything. Right? That's the reason I'm going with. But anyway, really solid chapter, really worth the wait. Let me know how you feel about Kanjuro, about the genetic devil fruit factor, about Momo's psychic clairvoyance, and about how they're going to separate Big Mom and Kaido, and how they're going to pry those two apart, because that's going to be a challenge in its own right. And even if they succeed, they still got to fight Kaido, which is not going to be an easy battle. But yeah. I just can't believe we're at this point. It's 1,008 chapters into One Piece. We started off with Luffy punching Alvida off a ship, and now we have him facing off against not one, but two Yonko. And it's like, yeah, they're getting beat down. Yeah, they're clearly at a disadvantage, but it's not as bad as it could have been. Like, they're holding their own against two Yonko. I'm just take this moment in is what I'm saying, right? All right, well, anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking and Barry and Robin, hopefully who we'll see more of next chapter, signing out. Later, everybody.